Good morning world from our island home here in the Philippines. Today we are going somewhere different. We've never been here before. We are embarking on a tour from Sharp Tackle, starting from Pilar, which is near our home on Siargao Island, and we are heading off the island today. We are leaving Siargao to go to Bucas Grande, which is the next island along, one of the major tourist attractions to do here in Siargao, and we've never done it before. We are going to go and see the Stingless Jellyfish of Sohoton Cove. So there's plenty of ways to do this tour, but we chose to do something different. We've been looking for a way that was suitable for us to go the long distance across the sea to Sohoton Cove. We didn't want to go on a bunker boat, which is the classic fisherman boat, because they're so loud and they're so packed and they're quite flimsy, and you have to go right across the ocean to get to this place. So with a bit of research, we found Sharp Tackle, which is basically run by a local guy here who lives in Pilar, which is near to our home, and he has a beautiful speedboat which he uses for fishing tours and also tours to the cove. It is a little bit pricier than going on your local shared tour because this is a private charter, but because there's 8 of us sharing the boat, it doesn't actually work out that much more for us to do the tour this way. So we're very excited to get out on the water today, which is beautiful day to be going out on the water. So if this is the first video of ours you've ever seen, you'll already know we got locked down in the Philippines 3 years ago during the COVID pandemic, and we are now enjoying our time post-COVID when our family has come to visit. My mother is here, my brother is here, and his family are all together with us on this chartered tour over to Sohoton Cove. We really wanted to show them the best of what Mindanao and Siargao has to offer. So this was a great way to build up some of those experiences and to also relive some of the experiences we've had before. One of the great things about this private charter and going all the way out to Sohoton is that you actually get to pass by all of the islands that we've done before. So the Tri-Island tour like Daku, Guyam and Naked Island, which is one of the most famous Tri-Island tours to do. You actually go past all of them along the way. Stimpy's and Rock Island, which is where all of the surfers go, which we've never been to because we don't surf. We actually got to pass by those places on the opposite side and see what it looks like out there, which is really good for us.
The speedboat was actually twice as fast, if not more, than what you would normally get the little bunker boats. We went past a few of these bunkers full of passengers, and a lot of them were wearing headphones purely because the boats are so noisy. As we cleared Siargao and entered into new territory, it was really nice to see the scenery changing and the different cliffs, the different rocks, limestone. It got a bit more craggy and a bit more sharp looking. It was a really beautiful day for it, and it took almost exactly 2 hours to arrive at Sohoton Cove.
At this point, we didn't really know what was going on the tour. Obviously, we finished the tour now and we're recapping what we experienced on the day. And basically, after signing in, you are allowed to go for a little swim down by the jetty while you wait for your local tour guides to come and take you into Sohoton Cove. Yeah. So you only have one choice when you get down to this place, and that is to go on their little package tour, which takes you to 5 different sites around the cove. And we weren't sure if we wanted to do any of them or not. Really, we wanted to go and see the jellyfish.
Yeah, that's all we really knew of what was there. And we didn't know if our boat would be able to just take us straight to the lagoon, but they can't. You have to get off and go to the jetty, which is the kind of like gateway into the cove. Whatever transport you arrive on, you have to disembark and get on one of their smaller boats, which take 6 people maximum. So we actually had to book 2 boats to take us. We did 4 and 4 because we were a group of 8.
So we were just swimming around the jetty for all of that time, and fortunately there were actually some types of jellyfish there to see already.
Yeah, there were also stingless jellyfish.
And it was a great way to get the kids used to the idea that we were going to be jumping in water with wildlife. Yeah. And they had to kind of prepare themselves for that mentally.
Yes, everyone was a little bit hesitant in the beginning,
including us. They were really nice, and the water was so clear and so clean. So I think that's the advantage of having one of these managed ecotourism areas.
It is a protected reserve, and you can see that, and it is very aesthetically pleasing. It's so beautiful. It actually brought a tear to my eye as we were going through the cove. I was just looking around, just wow, this is really, really, truly something special.
It's also nice that the little boats that you transfer onto have a tour guide each that explains to you the things that you're seeing.
Always maintain balance or boat.
Okay. This is something that isn't always done in the Philippines. They'll just kind of like take you where you want to go without saying stuff sometimes.
Yes.
But he was welcoming us to the area. He was saying, I'm proud to have you here. I'm glad that you made the journey out from Siargao. And it was a little bit nice to just turn the camera around and listen to some of the things that they were saying. Oh, yes. Carnivore plants.
Carnivorous plant.
Look.
It is our landmark here. Because our entrance is served as also our exit. So we should always remember this, huh? If we don't find this, it means we lost.
You lost somewhere, yeah. Yes. It's a landmark.
So it's very nice. You take a video or picture.
Yeah.
If we lost, we scan to your cell phone.
Yeah, he pointed out lots of things, some landmarks, some special rocks, some carnivorous plants, which we've seen in documentaries on TV before. Now we were seeing them in real life. That was really interesting.
Yeah, and when we spoke to the other boats, our family split up into 2 boats, they said that they were shown different things. So we both actually got a different experience.
But just if you do go as a bigger group, you might not be able to stay together for the whole time.
It is also the reason why Sohoton is called enchanted. Because our ancestor people, they say that they hear a sound here like a bell or like a piano.
Oh wow.
But that sounds, we cannot hear that anymore. So only the boys of the pambot, sounds of the pambot we hear every day.
Yeah.
So it's the best thing, we take a picture with you.
Yes, please. There were quite a few cave-related activities which sounded a lot scarier than they were in real life. So Papa didn't even bring her swimming costume on this trip. She just wanted to observe from the boat. So she stayed there while we actually dived into the water, took our camera and went into basically an underwater cave.
We will swim inside the cave. You got to be kidding. Abukan or snoring cove, because during a high tide season, high tide is when full of water, seawater. Okay. Then they will down small open.
Okay.
Then the vacuum, they will create the sounds like a snore. Yes, that's why we call hagukan or snoring cove.
Snoring, it makes a snoring sound.
Experience the luminous water inside.
Really? Inside there?
Yes.
Okay, alright.
Although,
huge group of people all going in at once.
Yeah, it was interesting. He showed that it's kind of a bioluminescent, is it?
It wasn't bioluminescent, it was luminescent. Because
your skin kind of changed colour under the water, and when you splashed the water it turned a different colour. It looked like it was glowing. It
was the way the light was refracting through the entrance that made it, rather than there being some kind of organism that changed colour.
Yeah,
so it was really interesting to see, and they brought torches in for us and they highlighted the areas of the cave that were worth looking at. And the tour guide again was quite funny, cracking jokes and everything, made it quite interesting. And then as we came out and continued down the beautiful cove, which was really calming, even though the boat was a little bit noisy, eventually we ended up at a fork in the road. Basically they said, do you want to see the famous golden stingless jellyfish, but they're very small at the moment and there's not many of them, or do you want to see a huge bloom of these transparent jellyfish on the other side? So we did ask them if we could do both, but they said, I'm sorry, there's not enough time for both.
Yeah, so you have to pick one or the other. So we went down the golden jellyfish. We wanted to see. That is what we were there for, even though there weren't many, but there were enough. You know, we saw them teeny tiny little baby ones, and there were some bigger ones as well. And one of the guides dived down to kind of encourage the jellyfish to come up to the surface more so we could see the bigger ones. And they were just so beautiful.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so sweet.
Wow.
So massive. Teeny one. Little teeny there.
Wow, that's what they're going to grow up to be like.
Oh.
This is a big daddy one. Look at his head.
Transparent.
That's Oh. Look at that. How's it feel, Story?
So what's
smooth?
Smooth, yeah?
Yeah.
The other type of jellyfish, actually it turns out that Jay's brother's boat went to the transparent jellyfish, so they actually got to see that. and they are the same jellyfish that we had in our hotel room when we stayed in Manila.
Yeah.
So we saw them there, kind of thing. So we weren't sure if they were going to be the jellyfish that we saw at the deck as well at the start.
And the kids did end up enjoying it in the end. They did get in and see, and well, Story in particular loved it. She's been talking about doing this for quite some time, but she was a bit young before and a little bit afraid of like the possibility that she might like get there and not have the confidence to get in. But she's such an excellent swimmer now, and now that she's been doing more underwater, open water kind of training, she just dived straight into the water and got right up and close to the jellyfish. And it was really nice to just kind of have that quiet moment out there on the cove with not too many people around, and have the guides help us to film so that they could encourage us to be in the right place at the right time and dive down to the right depth, so we could really experience being close to these little creatures that actually turned out to be really cute. And it's not something that I think I'd ever say about a jellyfish, but they're really cute.
So it was a special day. It was kind of tiring, but at the same time you're doing something so unique that it makes up for the kind of long journey there.
Yeah. One of the main reasons why I wanted to go to this cove in particular as well is I wanted some variety of landscape, and I feel like looking at this particular cove, especially from an aerial perspective, you can see that it is uniquely special. It is incredibly big and very mountainous, with lots of beautiful blue lagoons all in between. Way bigger and way more grand than the Sugba lagoon, which we went to a few days back, which is also beautiful, but I feel like visually from the sky this supersedes that. There is plenty more to experience there that we haven't even like scratched the surface of. There is a place nearby called Club Tara Resort, which is quite famous on this island. It would be lovely to go and enjoy some time in that cove. So there's another reason to go back, I feel.
Okay, Mom, sir. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your tour.
Did you enjoy that story?
Yeah.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
That was like my dream to see the jellyfish.
Yeah, mine too. Back at the dock. On the way home though, it was a bit of a different vibe. The tide had risen and there were some rather large waves coming out of the cove, so it was a little bit bumpy.
Yeah, nothing that the boat guys couldn't handle.
No, they were really professional actually. They knew what they were doing, they knew their stuff.
We did get really wet on the way back though, and I don't know how this happened, but pretty much everybody apart from Story and us fell completely asleep on that massive wet journey home.
Yes, Leonie and Devon were asleep pretty much straight away. Your mum didn't sleep either.
Oh,
she was
yeah.
awake with us. It was a nice journey though. It was very, very scenic. It was just very wet. So if you do go on a speedboat or maybe even one of the bunker boats on this big journey out to Sohoton Cove, just be prepared that you will get wet. Take a water bag to protect your stuff if you don't want anything to get wet. Like I had a towel and some, you know, bikini cover up things, and they were just completely soaked. You could actually wring them out like they'd just been in the shower, you know, they were that wet. So take a special bag if you don't want your things to get wet.
When we got back, we did actually have a bonus tour thrown in from the Sharp Tackle guys. They allowed us to go out on the Pilar Mangrove Inlet tour at almost sunset, and it was really nice actually. The perfect opportunity to dry off,
yes,
because the boat slows right down,
yeah,
and you feel the warmth of the sun. There's a little breeze. It was more than enough to get our clothes dry, yeah, and super calm and relaxing after being out at the open sea.
Yes, this is another tour that they do. It's a short, much shorter tour, but you go around sunset, the Pilar Mangroves, and we didn't do the full tour. We just had a little taster out for a little bit into the mangroves and the river, and it was just very calming. A little, you know, 15-20 minutes to kind of decompress a bit from the big like full force of the waves on the ocean, and then we come back and we just kind of float down the river for a bit. It was really nice, beautiful lighting.
And because the boat is quite quiet, when they slowed down the engines, it was actually really peaceful, even with motor power, to just kind of like cruise down there idling, and it felt really big and safe and, you know, high up, like a different perspective from when we've been out on the mangroves before. I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely do that tour on its own as well. When other people come to visit, push it back a little bit more towards actual sunset, and you'd get some amazing colours down there.
Yes, take a bottle of wine or something and just sit on the deck and have a little sunset, sundowner on the boat. It would be lovely. So
we haven't been sponsored or given a free tour here. We paid for this with our own money. We just wanted to give you guys some information about it. The charter that we took was about 26,500 pesos for the full day trip. The bonus tour was included for free, obviously, but that would normally be about 8,000 on top to do the mangrove tour on the end, or you could do that on its own.
Yeah, and if you wanted to extend the day even more on the Sohoton Cove trip, you can actually do an optional stop off at one of the other islands closer to Siargao, like the Chai Island tour, such as Naked or Guyam or Daku. You can option to have a quick stop off at one of those, and that's an extra cost as well. Another thing we had to pay for was when we got to Sohoton Cove and booked the 2 boats. Our total bill for the 8 people going out there into the cove and experiencing everything was 4,750 pesos. So we just thought we'd share some of that information for anybody who's planning on doing some touring around Siargao and wants to try probably one of the most difficult to get to parts of your tour if you come to Siargao is this one, but it's worth doing, especially if you really want to see the jellyfish. We are going to end this video with a shout out, and today's shout out goes to Ray the cat. Hello Gray the cat.
You've been a member for a month already, so I can see that you've got the little cloud icon that Story drew. And just a huge thank you to all of our members. It's really nice to interact with you and for you to tell us that you've been enjoying our weekend vlogs. We're building a special little community in there. If you're interested in becoming a member yourself, there's a join button below the videos, top comment and in the description. Check it out, and we will see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.